there, welcome back to another show. Today I'm going to talk about My Neighbour Tortoro and Porco Rosso, which are two films by Studio Ghibli. Both these films were directed by Hayao Miyazaki, and I think I've more or less got that name right. More or less. Because he is one of the most famous animation directors in the world. So I don't really have an excuse for that one if I get that one wrong. Now, for a while, Studio Ghibli has been my kind of big blind spot in both animation and Japanese cinema. It's like one of those things. Is like I go through phases of animation. I get into the mood for it and I really enjoy watching, and then I stop, and it's like it's one of those things. It's like I really appreciate it, but I'm not like someone who's watched it all the time. And Studio Ghibli, just because there's so many of them, was like it was one of those things that was like oppressive. Now I'd seen Spirited Away and loved Spirited Away, but it was always that thing where I was always a bit intimidated by starting more Studio Ghibli. And the thing is, I kept on buying the discs, and then I went on Netflix as well, and there's like so many excuses to watch it, and I still managed to not watch it. But I finally came around and started watching them, so throughout this year you'll probably see me doing these. But I won't be doing them every week or anything. It'll be like every so often I'll be doing another Studio Ghibli double bill. That's the idea, to do double bills. So they won't all be Miyazaki. There will be other ones as well. He didn't direct every Studio Ghibli film, so I will cover other directors too. So, but I just chose two of Miyazaki's that I wanted to watch to start off with, and then, I'll continue to follow my nose to different titles that I fancy watching, and then eventually, I'll get through them all. So, My Neighbour Totoro is a very Japanese story, while Porco Rosso is a very kind of international story. But they both have the mark of a director who knows what he's doing and knows what he's what to do with the worlds he's showing, which means he's not concerned with showing tons of action the way an anime film will probably have lots of action to keep you interested. He's much more mood and character and atmosphere, and not overdoing the fantasy elements, having the fantasy elements and the real world elements together. Now, Porco Rosso is more fantastical, even though there's a lot of real life elements. Well, My Neighbour Totoro has one fantastical element around a very kind of realistic story. So one is a bit more fantastical than the other, because even in Porco Rosso, when it goes into the war, it's still a kind of romanticised version of the war, even though there's signs of fascism and things in the area. There's still romanticism to it. That My Neighbour Totoro is a bit more on the muted real life side of things. So My Neighbour Totoro is the tale of two girls and a father who move out to a new house in the countryside. The mother is ill in hospital, and they don't know when she's going to come back. So the father's having to make do, and he's a college professor, and he's trying to keep the girls in line. The daughter's going out to school while the younger daughter is hanging around the house while her father works, and she's getting babysat when her father goes to work in the city to teach. But when he's in the house himself, he looks after her. But this little girl, who's not school age, likes to wander around. And during this time, she ends up wandering into this tree area where she discovers Tortoro and his various magical creatures of the forest that no one else can see apart from her. Like, when they discover she's missing, when the older sister comes back from school, they have to go and look for her, and they find her, but they're not seeing the magical world of Tortoro. They're just seeing she went on a wander, and she shouldn't do that. So you get like two worlds, really. And as the story goes on, it's about the older sister also discovering the magical world of Tortoro and his creatures. as well as them actually facing up to the fact their mother may not come back. And it's sort of like dealing with the idea of death and what it means to somebody, not in a kind of fantastical way, but in a kind of realistic way of what it might mean to your family and to yourself, basically, and what it means to your loved ones who you care for. So it is a very moving story, and it's attached to realistic fears, but also there is this fantastic element to it, which shows the kind of magical side of the world that is unseen as we get older, and is just something that falls away, and the whole idea of the myths of the past and the magic of the past is ignored as we deal with our very basic needs of the present, and our idea of the past stuff is just silliness and ridiculous fantasies. And this film was about the idea of there's some magic in the world, but it's not kind of comfortable magic. If this is a film that was set in America, Tortoro would magically find a way to cure the mother quite easily, and that would be it. Like, there would not be a sense of potential, doom for the story. There would just be a sense of, the magic creature will fix it. It's going to be safe. You don't have to worry. You can relax and you can just enjoy these special effects. And in this world, it's like the magical creatures can be helpful, but they're not like magical in the sense of they can solve all your problems. Your problems are still going to be there. They can help you, but that's about it. It's within reason they can help you. And it is really about the mix of the emotions of these two girls and their father dealing with a crisis, mixed with the magic of Tortoro and his world, not the world of, the fantasy land that's in the forest and is unseen by many. But there's some people within the communities who are the farmers who know there's something there, who know of all the different superstitions and respect them, and there's a sense of this world lives beside our world and we respect it, but we also go on with our lives. So there is this wonderful balance to the film, and the film never tries to throw a special effects spectacle at you. Rather than when the creatures show up, it's for a reason. Everything happens with character beats rather than just empty special effects. So what you get is a sense of a world that is magical, but you have to appreciate it while it's there rather than expect anything from it. It's just like, the world's more magical and interesting than what I thought. And even though in this circumstances the kind of imagination of these young girls are being tempered by what's happened to their mother, this other world is showing them there is more to life than just your immediate fears. So it's a beautiful film, it really is, but you need patience for it. If you're going in there expecting an easy ride or fantasy, you're not going to get it. If you're going in here expecting just like full on fantasy sequences, you're not going to get that. This is like a slow paced, deliberate, and it's always bringing it back to limitations in the world and reality, which makes it beautiful. So when the fantasy scenes actually come in, they're more powerful because of that, because they're not in your face all the time, and it allows you to interpret what they're doing, what these creatures are doing, and how they're helping without being the magic cure. So it becomes a sense of this other world you haven't seen before, but it's still, you still have a very satisfying story of a family dealing with an illness that, even if there's no creatures involved, would still be interesting. So both sides have been worked out to carry the load of the film, so that neither one dominates. If it was just about the illness that would dominate, and it would be a good film but darker, and if it was just about the fantasy world, it'd be a good film but a bit insubstantial. It needs both to balance it out and create something magical, and that's what the film does. So it's a beautiful film, but it has to be experienced really, and the biggest screen as possible. Is my best way to put it. Now, Porco Rosso is an earlier film, and it is there is a bit more action because it's meant to be an action adventure story, but it's also like it's based on the myths of these great pilots in World War II. But one of them, our central character, is a great pilot who's one day was turned into a pig, and they don't explain why. It's never explained. Just every so often, some people can see the figure below the person he used to be, but there's never like massive explanation of why he became a pig. And so if you're waiting for that explanation watching the film, you're not going to get it. Just it's not. You don't need it. It's just a magical part of the world that you don't need to work out. So this man pig is one of the great pilots, but he is he's in France, in these islands in France, and he's fighting these pirates who were once pilots and who are now pirating around the area trying to make money to survive, and they've joined together in a clan to create this, you know, group of them who can pull off these heists and ships, local ships and things. Porco Rosso is the defender of that, and for a fee he'll go and attack these pirates and defend the ships. But he was not going to do it for nothing. And what he's doing it for is basically pay off his plane, because he needs to pay off his plane because it's like it's not a free thing. He loves piloting, but he needs to pay for the upkeep of the plane. So he gets into these battles and he fights these pirates, and he saves. In the first sequence, he's saving these children who've been kidnapped for basically for the pirates to say, give us some more money or you get kids back. So I mean, it's basically kidnapping. The first scene is him against pirates, and it sets up the world of the movie, where it's dealing with the idea of darker issues, but done in a kind of adventure way. But there is this weird idea of this character who's half man, half pig. But he is the best pilot around, and these pirates are getting sick of him, and they sometimes see him in this one place where all the pilots go to, which is a safe zone. No one's allowed to hit anybody else in this one bar where you can buy food. It's an old chateau. It's like if you're a pirate or if you're a anti-pirate, you can go there and you're not allowed to fight. So it's very neutral. It's the Switzerland of that area. So there's some tension there, and the pirates bring in this new young pilot who's wanting to go to America to become a movie star, and he's very much, you know, he's like a show off. So so basically him and Porco Rosso have a rivalry, which ends up Porco Rosso's being his plane's having problems, so he tries to sneak out to get to Milan where he can get his plane fixed. And this is just after he's paid for the plane, so he's actually just relieved he's finally owns his own plane. He has to go to Milan. The sneaky pilot spots him and shoots him down, so Porco Rosso has to take the plane to Milan via land, and with his very little money, but he strikes a deal with his mechanic, and they're going to help him fix the plane. And the mechanic's granddaughter is the one who is the genius, and she's going to fix the plane. And this becomes the story of her and Porco Rosso, as she fixes the plane for him and adds things and makes a better plane. And he just learns how to deal with her, because she kind of hero worships him because he's in a life of adventure, while she's just in a life of like building things and imagining things. So she thinks this is a big romantic lifestyle, and he's like, no, it's not really. It's quite tiring. But this relationship evolves. But also, in this time, the more serious side of the film comes in. The idea of you find out that Porco Rosso was once an Italian pilot, and now Italy is under the fascist regime of Mussolini. And now they basically want to get Porco Rosso because they view him as a traitor. So he has to escape from Milan once his plane's fixed and get back and basically take on this arrogant pilot who is trying to take the top spot because he wants to bragging rights so he can go to Hollywood and become a movie star. So Porco Rosso has to deal with the Italians, some of the pilots there are still his friends, but they never rebelled and he did. And also he had to deal with this idiot guy and the pirates, all of whom hate him. So it's Porco Rosso and his girl versus all these other people. Porco Rosso also has the love of the owner of the chateau that is a neutral zone for all the pilots. She knew him when he was a man, and she can see the man inside him, but he's very uncomfortable because of his looks of going any further there. So it's a complicated relationship. And how this all resolves, I'll leave to you to see. It is wonderful how it's done. And the film itself is wonderful. I kind of like Tortoro more, but this is still a great film. There's still some just charming moments throughout it. Okay, as I talk, I've been checking as I've been talking, and I've realised, no, actually, the Porco Rosso came later, but it does seem less mature than Neighbour Tortoro. I don't know how that happened. For some reason in my head, Porco Rosso came earlier. And I checked up as I was finishing the video and realised, no, that actually came later. But it's not as successful as Neighbour Tortoro. It does feel like maybe they can expand into the world of the pilots. Made them embrace the kind of things they thought was exciting about that world. But no, I was actually wrong with what I've said on the video. This came later. Not only there was a cheese delivery service in between, but this came later. But for some reason, my mind, as I was talking, said it came earlier, and that's wrong. But it does feel like a less mature and less successful film, which is strange. So obviously I got it wrong. But yeah, Neighbour Tortoro is the stronger film. But yeah, I don't know if it was maybe doing the bigger subject which made him go towards romanticism a bit more, but both are very charming, both are wonderful, but ignore what I said earlier in the video. Porco Rosso came later. You know, it shows I can bear more on sometimes. Or things that stick in your head and you don't check them out before you start doing these videos kind of gets in the way. Right, so I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you later. Right, bye for now.